and Merry Christmas. Welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanzi Banauri. In today's bulletin, we will present important news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Frigid monster storm across US claims at least 30 lives. Biden's visit patients at Children's National Hospital. Blizzard warning in effect in Montana. Five arrested in deadly shooting at Minnesota's Mall of America. Migrants dropped near VP Harris' home on frigid Christmas Eve. January 6 participant arrested after California standoff. Editions of January 6 report already on Amazon bestseller list. Pope's lament, icy winds of war buffet humanity at Christmas. Bethlehem rebounds from pandemic, lifting Christmas spirits. Christmas Eve shooting at UK pub leaves 1 dead, 3 wounded. King Charles salutes late Queen, public workers in speech. Some Ukrainians move up Christmas to part ways with Russia. Shells pummel Ukraine's Kherson, 10 dead, 55 wounded. Putin claims Moscow ready for Ukraine talks as attacks go on. "22 dead in fire at illegal shelter in Russia." Prosecutors say Paris shooting suspect wanted to kill migrants. Finally, a boat with 57 Rohingya lands in HA after a month. Pele's family gathers at hospital in Sao Paulo. And Panthers run past Lions 37-23, maintain division title hopes. Now news in detail. Millions of people hunkered down against a deep freeze Sunday to ride out the winter storm that has killed at least 30 people across the United States and is expected to claim more lives after trapping some residents inside houses with heaping snowdrifts and knocking out power to scores of homes and businesses. The scope of the storm has been nearly unprecedented, stretching from the Great Lakes near Canada to the Rio Grande along the border with Mexico. About 60% of the US population faced some sort of winter weather advisory or warning, and temperatures plummeted drastically below normal from east of the Rocky Mountains to the Appalachians, the National Weather Service said. Travelers' weather woes are likely to continue, with hundreds of flight cancellations already and more expected after a bomb cyclone, when atmospheric pressure drops very quickly in a strong storm developed near the Great Lakes, stirring up blizzard conditions, including heavy winds and snow. Some 1,707 domestic and international flights were cancelled on Sunday as of about 2 p.m. EDT, according to the tracking site FlightAware. President Joe Biden and his wife, First Lady Jill Biden, visited Children's National Hospital on the Friday before Christmas to visit with patients and read a story. Sitting in front of a towering Christmas tree, the president helped hold the book while the First Lady read The Snowy Day, an award-winning story about a boy named Peter and his adventures in the snow. This year is the 60th anniversary of the book, written by Ezra Jack Keats. Biden and his wife also met in private with pediatric patients and their families. The White House said they also thanked doctors, nurses, and staff, including at the hospital's cardiac intensive care unit. Jill Biden's visit continued an 80-year annual tradition dating to Bess Truman of First Ladies bringing holiday cheer to children who are too ill to be at home on Christmas. President Biden joined his wife last year, making the first visit by a sitting president. A blizzard warning was in effect until the middle of Christmas Day in western Montana along the eastern side of the Rocky Mountains. The National Weather Service warned that the eastern slope of Glacier National Park and the adjacent foothills and plains could see up to 8 inches of snow and winds up to 90 mph. The Weather Service advised traveling only in emergencies. Travel could be very difficult to impossible, its warning said. Widespread blowing snow will significantly reduce visibility, while drifting snow could lead to complete lane blockages. The Weather Service also warned that travel could be treacherous further to the west in Montana and in north-central Idaho, forecasting the possibility of both snow and ice. 5 people were arrested in the fatal shooting of a 19-year-old man at the Mall of America that sent the sprawling commercial center into lockdown on one of the final days of the holiday shopping season, police said Saturday. At an evening news conference, Bloomington Police Chief Booker Hodges announced the arrests in connection with the Friday night shooting in the Minneapolis suburb of Bloomington and said all would face murder charges, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune reported. Hodges said the arrested suspects were 2 men, 18 and 3 17-year-old male juveniles, according to the Star-Tribune, and they were taken into custody in the morning at a home in nearby St. Louis Park by SWAT team officers from 3 jurisdictions. The chief added that one of the 18-year-olds is believed to be the shooter, though another suspect may also have fired a weapon. A 6th suspect was still being sought. 3 buses of recent migrant families arrived from Texas near the home of Vice President Kamala Harris in record-setting cold on Christmas Eve. Texas authorities have not confirmed their involvement, but the bus drop-offs are in line with previous actions by border state governors calling attention to the Biden administration's immigration policies. The buses that arrived late Saturday outside the vice president's residence were carrying around 110 to 130 people, according to Tatiana Laborde, managing director of SAMU First Response, a relief agency working with the city of Washington to serve thousands of migrants who have been dropped off in recent months. Local organizers had expected the buses to arrive Sunday but found out Saturday that the group would get to Washington early, Laborde said. The people on board included young children. Federal agents took a participant in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol into custody for his alleged role in the insurrection after an hours-long standoff Thursday, authorities said. Eric Christie, 56 years old, was arrested in the Sherman Oaks neighborhood of the San Fernando Valley, according to Laura A. Miller, an FBI spokesperson. He initially refused to comply with federal agents' orders but surrendered without incident after 3 hours of negotiations, A. Miller said. She would not comment on whether he was armed during the standoff. Video and photographs from the insurrection discovered by online sleuths show Christie at the Capitol last year wrapped in a rainbow flag with a hammer attached to his belt, federal court documents state. A video captured Christie yelling, "This is our capital," into a bullhorn while the crowd rushes into the Capitol as police attempted to keep them back, according to court documents filed in connection with his California arrest. A federal judge on Friday ordered Christie detained, according to Christie's attorney, George Newhouse. It took less than a day for the January 6 report to go from public unveiling to the bestseller list on Amazon.com. By late Friday, 3 editions of the Congressional Probe of the 2021 Siege of the U.S. Capitol by supporters of then-President Donald Trump were in the top 30 on Amazon. The editions include one with a foreword by MSNBC anchor Ari Melber, published by Harper Paperbacks, a Celadon Books release with a foreword by New Yorker editor David Remnick, and an epilogue by Representative Jamie Raskin, a Maryland Democrat and member of the House Select Committee, and a volume by the Hachette Book Group Imprint 12, published in coordination with the New York Times. The 814-page document, released late Thursday, is not copyrighted, can be published by anyone, and is otherwise available for free on various government and media websites. Previous government publications, from the September 11 Commission report to Robert Mueller's probe into Trump's ties to Russian officials when he ran for president in 2016, have been bestsellers. The September 11 report was even a finalist in 2004 for the National Book Award. Now it's time for global updates. Pope Francis used his Christmas message Sunday to lament the icy winds of war buffeting humanity and to make an impassioned plea for an immediate end to the fighting in Ukraine, a 10-month-old conflict he decried as senseless. At noon in Rome, Francis delivered the traditional Urbi et Orbi, Latin for "to the city and to the world," speech from the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. On a sunny day, with the midday temperature reaching about 15 degrees Celsius, warm for a Roman winter, some 70,000 tourists, pilgrims and residents of the city packed St. Peter's Square to listen to the pontiff and to receive his blessing. Francis also cited long-running conflicts in the Middle East, including in the Holy Land, where in recent months violence and confrontations have increased, bringing death and injury in their wake. In addition, he prayed for a lasting truce in Yemen and for reconciliation in Iran and Myanmar, and cited violence and conflicts in Africa's Sahel region. He lamented that one Christmas, the path of peace is blocked by social forces that include attachment to power and money, pride, hypocrisy, falsehood. The biblical town of Bethlehem marked a Merry Christmas on Saturday, with thousands of visitors descending upon the traditional birthplace of Jesus as it rebounds from the coronavirus pandemic. Tourism is the economic lifeblood of this town in the occupied West Bank, and for the past 2 years, the pandemic kept international visitors away. This year, visitors are back, hotels are full, and shopkeepers have reported a brisk business in the run-up to the holiday. Although the numbers have not reached pre-pandemic levels, the return of tourists has palpably raised spirits in Bethlehem. Throughout the day, hundreds of people strolled through Manger Square for Christmas Eve celebrations. Marching bands pounding on drums and playing bagpipes paraded through the area, and foreign tourists mingled about and snapped selfies with the town's large Christmas tree behind them. Hundreds of millions of Christians were ushering in the holiday, wrapping up a tumultuous year characterized by conflict and violence in many parts of the world. A Christmas Eve shooting at a pub in northwest England killed a young woman and wounded 3 men, police said Sunday. The Merseyside police force said it was investigating the 11:50 p.m. Saturday shooting at the Lighthouse pub in the town of Wallasey as a murder case. Police have not detained any suspects. This investigation is in the very early stages, and we understand that this is a truly shocking and devastating incident that has happened just before Christmas Day in a busy venue full of young people, Detective Superintendent David McGoffrin said. The woman died at a hospital with an injury consistent with a gunshot wound, the police force said in a statement. Along with the 3 men wounded, several people were injured, according to the statement. Investigators were seeking witnesses as well as cell phone video and closed-circuit television footage to figure out what happened, McGoffrin said. King Charles III evoked memories Sunday of his late mother, Queen Elizabeth, as he broadcast his first Christmas message as monarch in a speech that also paid tribute to the selfless dedication of Britain's public service workers, many of whom are in a fight with the government over pay. Charles also empathized in the pre-recorded message with people struggling to make ends meet at a time of great anxiety and hardship. Like some other parts of the world, the UK is wrestling with high inflation that has caused a cost of living crisis for many households. The king's first remarks, however, recalled his mother, who died in September at age 96 after 70 years on the throne. Charles said he shared with his mother a belief in the extraordinary ability of each person to touch, with goodness and compassion, the lives of others and to shine a light in the world around them. Ukrainians usually celebrate Christmas on January 7, as do the Russians, but not this year, or at least not all of them. Some Orthodox Ukrainians have decided to observe Christmas on December 25, like many Christians around the world. Yes, this has to do with the war, and yes, they have the blessing of their local church. The idea of commemorating the birth of Jesus in December was considered radical in Ukraine until recently, but Russia's invasion changed many hearts and minds. In October, the leadership of the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which is not aligned with the Russian Church and one of 2 branches of Orthodox Christianity in the country, agreed to allow faithful to celebrate on December 25. The choice of dates has clear political and religious overtones in a nation with rival Orthodox churches and where slight revisions to rituals can carry potent meaning in a culture war that runs parallel to the shooting war. Russian shells pummeled the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson on Saturday, killing at least 10 people and injuring 55 in the city that Moscow's troops were forced to abandon last month. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, just back from his quick trip to Washington, posted photos of the wreckage on his social media accounts. He noted the destruction came as Ukrainians were beginning Christmas celebrations that for many Orthodox Christians will culminate in the traditional celebration January 7. This is not sensitive content, it's the real life of Kherson, Zelensky tweeted. The images showed cars on fire, bodies on the street, and building windows blown out. Yaroslav Yanushevich, the governor of the Kherson region, said in televised remarks that the number of people killed in the latest shelling of the city has risen from 7 to 10. He added that 55 people were wounded, 18 of them in grave condition. Yanushevich said scores of others, including a 6-year-old girl, were wounded by Russian shelling a day earlier. President Vladimir Putin claimed that Russia is ready for talks to end the war in Ukraine, even as the country faced more attacks from Moscow, a clear sign that peace wasn't imminent. Putin said in a state television interview, excerpts of which were released on Sunday afternoon, that Russia is prepared to negotiate some acceptable outcomes with all the participants of this process. He said that it's not us who refuse talks, it's them. Something the Kremlin has repeatedly stated in recent months as its 10-month-old invasion kept losing momentum. Putin also repeated that Moscow has no other choice and said he believed the Kremlin was acting in the right direction. We are defending our national interests, the interests of our citizens, our people, he said. Putin's remarks come as attacks on Ukraine continue. A countrywide air raid alert was announced twice on Sunday alone, and 3 missiles in the afternoon hit the city of Kramatorsk in the partially occupied Donetsk region, local officials reported. A fire Saturday at a private shelter in the Siberian city of Kemerovo that was operating illegally killed 22 people, Russian officials said. Initial reports described the wooden building in the city 3,000 kilometers east of Moscow as a nursing home, but the country's investigative committee, which probes major crimes, later said it was a temporary residence for persons in a difficult life situation. The committee said a man who rented the building has been arrested and charged with violation of safety regulations, resulting in multiple deaths. The committee's statement did not identify him, but news reports said he was a local clergyman. The cause of the fire that broke out before dawn has not been determined, but the investigative committee said residents told the shelter operator on the day before the fire that the building's coal-fired boiler was malfunctioning. 6 other people were injured in the blaze that destroyed the 2-story building. The man suspected of fatally shooting 3 Kurds in Paris ahead of Christmas weekend told investigators that he had set out that morning aiming to kill migrants or foreigners and then himself. According to prosecutors, the 69-year-old man killed 3 people outside a Kurdish cultural center Friday and wounded 3 others, and was then disarmed and subdued by one of the injured victims, the Paris prosecutor's office said Sunday. He was detained at the scene and transferred Saturday to psychiatric care. His name hasn't been released. If he is released from psychiatric care, he faces potential charges of racially motivated murder, attempted murder, and arms violations. A broken-down boat carrying 57 Rohingya refugees landed on Indonesia's western coast yesterday after a month at sea, police said. Thousands of the mostly Rohingyas, heavily persecuted in Myanmar, risk their lives each year on long, expensive sea journeys, often in poor quality vessels, in an attempt to reach Malaysia or Indonesia. The wooden vessel with 57 men on board arrived around 8 a.m. local time on a beach in the westernmost Aceh province. Local police spokesman Winardi told AFP. The boat had a broken engine and it was carried by the wind to a shore in Ladong village in Aceh Besar, Winardi, who goes by one name, said. They said they have been drifting at sea for a month. Winardi added that police arrived at the beach after being informed by some locals that the boat had locked there. He said 4 of the men on board were sick and had been transported to a hospital. Now it's time for business news. Now a look of today's sports stories. Family members of Brazilian soccer great Pelé are gathering at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo, where the 82-year-old global icon has been since the end of November. Doctors said earlier this week that Pelé's cancer had advanced, adding the three-time World Cup winner is under elevated care related to kidney and cardiac dysfunctions. No other hospital statements have been published since. Its son Shelby Nascimento, one of Pele's sons and known as Edinho, arrived Saturday, one day after he gave a news conference to deny he would visit his father in hospital. Edinho, who works for a soccer club in southern Brazil, had said then that only doctors could help his father. Its son Arantes do Nascimento, who is globally known as Pelé, had a colon tumor removed in September 2021. Neither his family nor the hospital have said whether it had spread to other organs. Deonta Foreman knew the Carolina Panthers offensive linemen meant business when they walked into a meeting room following Friday's walkthrough practice. They were silent and wearing full-length black ski masks. To Foreman, it meant the linemen were focused and ready to bounce back from a disappointing showing the week before. They did just that Saturday. Foreman ran for a career-high 165 yards and a touchdown, and the Panthers racked up a franchise record 320 yards on the ground behind a dominating performance up front to beat the Detroit Lions 37-23 and keep their NFC South title hopes alive. Chuba Hubbard also had a career best by rushing for 125 yards for the Panthers, who had been held to 21 yards on 16 carries in a home loss to Pittsburgh 6 days earlier. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV US and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago PD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.